Hello my happy quilters. Here we are again for the Chatsworth Block of the Month by Leko. And we are on block number 8 this time. So my gosh, we're just rolling right through this one.
We are.
Tons of fun. This block, this time, as you can see, I'm going to have Joy come down here.
Okay.
And again, this one's kind of an easy one. It's got the 2 pages on your pattern, but again here I'm not going to go over all the cutting again because the traditional piecing you cut, so a 5.5 inch square, cut twice on the diagonal. Some other squares you're going to cut on the diagonal. If you need help with making any of those, you can watch some of the previous videos, but this is the block number 8.
I love this shape. Totally.
It's totally different. I don't think I've ever really made anything like it. So that is the one that I made out of the kind of fall colored fabrics, and this is the one out of the bright fabrics. Now this one was made with a fat pack using the traditional cutting method, and this one was used using a jelly roll, and I used the 1/4 square and the 1/2 square triangle rulers.
And we can do that because the notches are cut off.
Exactly. So it works really well. And also throughout we use the simple folded corner rulers by Doug as well in many areas too. So anyways, this is the step out of the cut, and I'm not going to take the jelly roll and cut it for you because you can see on so many of the other ones where I have already done that.
So I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, so you can see on so many other ones. You can't really see these whites down here and up here. Whoops, up here. So I'm not going to go through all that because it's just the same over and over and over again. But really fun blocks this time in these 2 colorways. And Joy has another colorway as well.
And I'm going to just take a few moments, and so here is my block, and I'm using the Christmas fabrics, and my blocks, instead of having variation, I'm using variation in my red or green colors. For this block, if you're using AccuQuilt, and I absolutely love the little Go Me for this process because it's easy to take and use. I do also have the electric cutter in my life because I cut all the time. But
well, and really, Joy, for these blocks, you use the same, like you just, if you want to go to retreat and make this whole quilt, take your kit, you just take your 8-inch block
and your little Go Me
and the little Go Me, and you can just do it all at once.
That's right. So for this block, we need block 4, which is my 1/4 square triangle block. Block 5 is your 1/2 square triangle block, and then we need the one that's called square on point to make that center block. And I did do some step outs for this because we haven't done the square on point since the beginning, so a refresher is always good because sometimes the alignment is a little bit challenging. But first I want to just do a little review because some of you have been sewing along. Well, all of you have been sewing along, but these little 1/2 square triangles, what I want to point out is that when you chain piece, it doesn't hurt to say it again and again that you're going to get the nicest beginning and endings of your triangles if you leave your fabric under your presser foot, stop with your needle down, feed your next piece in, and keep going. It makes little tiny twists in the thread in between, and when you're doing that, your triangle is less likely to waver as you go. So this is what we mean by chain piecing. I always have the process, Marcia, I think you probably do too. I tend to always put my light piece of fabric on top because it's easier to see, and then when you have a process you notice more quickly if you've made a mistake. So that is a Joy tip for sewing these pieces.
And then also traditionally I'll always press to the dark unless the pattern says so it'll nest. Sometimes you'll have to press to the light, but normally the rule of thumb is press to the dark.
Right. So then what I want to point out here is we have the the geese units that have the quarter squares on the top, and I'm going to go down here. And I mentioned this last time, but I didn't show it. I have my process is to always sew my first piece on at the top, and then when I put my second piece, I put it underneath and I sew from this side, and you can get a really nice clear view. Now, one thing to point out, I usually stop just ahead of this point, and I make sure that this under piece is not being pushed and distorted out of the way. It's important that it stays straight the whole path. And then when I press open with my stylus, I tend to start in the middle and go one way, and I'll rotate it and go the other way. That way I'm not pulling this bias of my triangle all the way across. I'm just doing half. It's faster, more accurate. Now when we put these pieces together in this unit, when you align them, the point that's important in visual is this top point here. And it's not a bad idea to stop again before you get to that point for sewing, so that when you open it up, you have a really nice crisp gathering of fabric right here at the top, because that is the point that is going to be most visible on your piece. Next up, let me move this over, is this center square piece here. And this is really the focus of our block. And you have to make sure each of the quadrants of your fabrics match. I did have a little in sewing, Marcia, I'll admit, because these two pieces look kind of the same sometimes at night. But the square and a square, you're going to want to start with your opposite pieces going to the middle. Now, on traditional piecing, they suggest you fold your center square in half so that the point of your triangle lines up exactly. With AccuQuilt, because of how those dog ears are cut, the edges are going to line up very nicely when you press it out. And again, do not press your pieces until you are all done with the steam iron. And when you lay that second piece on top, those dog ears should go right to the edge, and you will have a little bit of a nip sticking out, and that is normal, but that will give you a really nice finish in the middle. So those are there were a lot of techniques in this one block, and then of course orientation matters, and you have to pay attention to how you lay your pieces out so you get all your colors going together in the right
There really are
direction.
a lot of pieces in this block as
There
well.
are a lot of pieces, and I just followed the pressing instructions in the
As per the pattern.
Yep, as per the pattern. So that is block number 8. I think that is it for us today, Marcia.
That is it for today. So they'll for sure to want to follow us on YouTube if you haven't already.
So be sure to like and subscribe. The subscribe button is under the bell. And thank you for joining us again. We have 4 more blocks coming at you, plus our finishing techniques. So thanks for being a part of our journey of Chatsworth. And if you haven't bought our kit yet, you still can.
So we'll see you soon. 2 weeks from today, we'll see you for block number 9. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day.